Hello pilots, Thunderous Wolf here. Welcome to episode 5 of Planes of Ace Combat. In this episode, we'll be taking a look at the F-2A Viper Zero and the F-2A Super Kai. A variant of the F-16C, both the Viper Zero and Super Kai are primarily multi-role aircraft specializing in air-to-ship engagements while also retaining the air-to-air and air-to-ground capabilities of the Fighting Falcon. The F-2A, known by its nickname of Viper Zero, is a variant of the F-16C Fighting Falcon. The main difference that the Viper Zero has to the Fighting Falcon is in its designation and loadout as a result. While the F-16 favors air-to-air engagements, the F-2A favors not only air-to-ground, but air-to-sea engagements as well. The F-2A Super Kai, its single appearance as of this video being in Ace Combat 7 as part of the Cutting Edge Aircraft DLC pack, is a modernized version of the F-2A. Featuring improved stats across the board, the Super Kai is able to fulfill either an air-to-ship, air-to-air, or support aircraft role thanks to the various special weapons it can take into battle. Although the F-2A's first ever appearance in the Ace Combat series was in Ace Combat 2, called the JF-2A in that game, the first flyable iteration of this aircraft wouldn't come until Ace Combat 4 Shattered Skies, also known in Europe as Ace Combat Distant Thunder. Although this plane has a preference towards air-to-sea and air-to-ground engagements, the F-2A is able to hold its own in air-to-air combat just fine as well. This is thanks to the improved stats, in particular the stability. Compared to the F-16, pilots will have a much easier time locking onto and keeping track of targets with the F-2A. This increased stability is very much appreciated, as being able to maintain level flight while making small corrections without needing to worry about overshooting is a luxury that is needed for a plane like this. While the rocket pods and medium unguided bombs allow the F-2A to get up close and personal with enemy ground threats, what the Viper Zero specializes in is air-to-sea engagements with long-range anti-ship missiles. This is the perfect plane to take for pilots looking to pick off enemy naval vessels from afar and still be able to deal with any enemy planes that try to stop them. There's also one more thing that I'll mention not only in this episode of Planes of Ace Combat, but in all future episodes moving forward as well. Enemy aces that fly this aircraft. An extra bit that I'll be adding if applicable to each game for each entry from now on. Ace Combat 4's F-2A ace is Urata, who spawns to the far north of Stonehenge in the mission Stonehenge Offensive. Urata is a relatively easy enemy ace to take down given how far they spawn away from the action. A pilot's only real concern is getting sniped by Stonehenge, but in my experience, that hasn't happened. Not at long range, at least. At close range, let's just say I've had an unfortunate turn of events happen before. In Ace Combat 5 The Unsung War, also known as Ace Combat Squadron Leader in Europe, each plane only has a single special weapon assigned to it. As a result, the F-2A's preference is locked towards the anti-ship role. While it can of course fight ground and even aerial threats just fine despite being designated as an attacker, because of the fact pilots can't change the special weapon to be anything different, the Viper Zero is best used when contact with enemy naval vessels is expected. Becoming available once the kill gauge for the F-16C is filled all the way, the F-2A is a solid aircraft to take into battle. Ace Combat 5's F-2A ace is Cypher, who shows up in the mission Fortress. Cypher spawns to the northwest of Kruik Fortress after 6 JAS-39Cs are shot down. Although not the hardest enemy ace to shoot down, due to the time-sensitive nature of needing to help the allies on the ground capture the fortress, there is a sense of urgency present when trying to take this ace down. With Ace Combat Zero The Belkan War, also known in Europe as Ace Combat The Belkan War, allowing for multiple special weapons to be chosen again, the F-2A's versatility is increased. That being said, outside of air-to-ship attacks, the Viper Zero is the very definition of an average aircraft where there's usually a better option. Although it can take self-forging fragment submunitions and 4 air-to-air multi-lock-on missiles with XMAAs, there are usually better aircraft to take. One could make the argument of using a plane like this during a new save. Outside of that though, it's one of those planes where pilots would need to go out of their way to use it, if I'm making any sense there. There are planes that better specialize in air-to-air and air-to-ground attacks. Though, as is the case with the previous 2 games up to this point, if there's a need to pick off enemy naval ships at range, then the F-2A is a very solid choice. Because of the insane number of non-boss aces in Zero, there are multiple enemy F-2A aces. Spieler can be found in Flicker of Hope on any difficulty as a soldier after destroying 2 mission-critical F-20A Tiger Sharks. Strom can be found in Merlin spawns Alpha Team mission only on Ace difficulty under any Ace style after the mission update. Shooting down Strom unlocks the special skin for this aircraft. Roller can be found in Sword of Annihilation on normal difficulty or higher as a mercenary after all 4 of the mission critical jamming facilities are destroyed. And lastly, SFL 1 and 2 can be found in the Talon of Ruin on any difficulty as a mercenary after destroying 2 Su-37s that are escorting the XBO. Featuring the exact same special weapons loadout from Ace Combat Zero, long-range anti-ship missiles, self-forging fragment submunitions, and XMAAs, the F-2A in Ace Combat X is more or less the same story. Great if pilots need to deal with enemy naval vessels, but pretty average outside of that. In all fairness, compared to the F-16C, the F-2A is an upgrade across the board in every category. So, as an improved iteration of the Fighting Falcon, the F-2A does its job well there. Again though, outside of that, there's not a whole lot to write home about with this aircraft. Ace Combat X's F-2A ace is Fury, who spawns to the northwest of the jamming facility in the mission In Pursuit 2. Because of the frequent jamming followed by short bursts of the radar and lock-ons working, Fury is one of the more difficult aces to shoot down. Whenever the jamming is in effect, pilots will have to rely on their eyes to track targets, and they have to get in close enough for a guns kill, or in my particular case here, a laser kill. I will admit, I may be a bit biased in saying that Fury is a harder ace to shoot down than others because jamming missions are a pet peeve of mine in Ace Combat, but I stand by it. The F-2A in Ace Combat 6 Fires of Liberation is able to take on essentially any mission due to its wide range of available special weapons. Long-range anti-ship missiles, quick maneuver air-to-air missiles, 4 air-to-air missiles, and unguided bombs. 1 for long-range attacks against enemy naval vessels, 1 for close-range dogfighting, 1 for dealing with multiple enemies at once, and 1 for getting up close and personal with enemy ground threats. Although pilots will get the most use out of this aircraft when going after ground and naval threats, the air-to-air capabilities of this thing are solid as well. This, in combination with the reduced number of flyable aircraft that are in this game compared to other titles, means that the F-2A is able to stand out more as a versatile multi-role. Ace Combat 6's F-2A ace can be found in Weapons of Mass Destruction. Spawning after the player reaches the Estevakian WMD convoy, Fluger will spawn from behind and give chase. What makes this ace stand out in particular is with him firing rocket pods rather than regular missiles. Even the enemy knows how busted they are in this game, it seems. According to the Ace Combat Wiki, the F-2A is a flyable aircraft in Ace Combat XI Skies of Incursion. I still haven't gotten around to seeing if I can get Skies of Incursion to work. In Ace Combat Joint Assault, the F-2A is a very solid attacker. While in previous games I've described the F-2A as just an average plane outside of anti-ship attacks, due to the parts and how they work, the Viper Zero can have a moment to shine here. While still being beaten by higher tier aircraft, obviously, being called higher tier aircraft for a reason, for mid-tier standards, the F-2A is very solid once pilots are able to boost its stats. Along with the universal missile suite of standard, high accuracy, lightweight, and heavy missiles, it also comes with guided penetration bombs, self-forging fragment submunitions, long-range anti-ship missiles, and 4 air-to-air multi-lock-on missiles with XMAAs. Joint Assault does not have an F-2A ace, so we'll be skipping that part for this game. So, you know how I've been taking shots at Assault Horizon throughout each episode so far. Depending on how you view this game, it's going to get better or worse in this episode, because whoo boy do I have a thing or two to say here. In the single player campaign, the F-2A is flyable for only one mission. That mission being Hostile Fleet. Because of how Assault Horizon categorizes its aircraft along with how the gameplay works, the F-2A can't be flown outside of Hostile Fleet since that's the only mission in the game that doesn't have dogfight mode. While Ace Combat's designation of the F-2A has bounced between multi-role and attacker every now and then, the Viper Zero being designated as an attacker here really stings. Forget the fact I've said the F-2A is average outside of anti-ship attacks for a number of the games on this list. At least those games had that plane as an option for every mission. There is someone out there whose favorite plane is the F-2A, and if they're only able to fly it for one mission out of Assault Horizon's 16 mission campaign, rip to them. Anyway, for the singular mission that pilots can fly this aircraft, the F-2A comes with either rocket pods or long-range air-to-ground missiles. I am aware that the F-2A is able to get more use in multiplayer because pilots are able to freely engage ground targets at will there, but with Ace Combat being a single-player focused franchise, not having that freedom stings more here. Oh, and there's no F-2A ace in this game either. Much like how things are in Joint Assault, parts play a larger role for aircraft like the F-2A in Ace Combat Assault Horizon Legacy, known in Japan as 3D Cross Rumble. The base stats have the Viper Zero as a low to mid-tier aircraft, but with parts it can lean into the mid to high-tier territory. Equipped with long-range anti-ship missiles, guided bombs, and multi-purpose missiles, the F-2A is able to perform its multi-role duties well. Unfortunately, there's also no F-2A ace here in Assault Horizon Legacy, so we'll need to skip this game here as well. The F-2A in Ace Combat Infinity is classified as an attacker. The special weapons reflect this designation, said weapons being long-range anti-ship missiles, unguided bombs, and rocket pods. When fully maxed out, excluding any parts that could be equipped to mitigate this, the F-2A had S ranks across the board aside from its air-to-air stat, which could only ever get up to a B+. Needless to say, pilots who flew this aircraft would be best served sticking with ground and naval threats. Although there were no enemy F-2A aces in Infinity due to its multiplayer focus, I can swap out what would be an enemy F-2A ace overview with the various skins that were released for this aircraft. Along with the regular F-2A pilots could fly, there were also the following variants. The 60th anniversary skin to commemorate the JASDF's, Japan Air Self-Defense Forces 60th anniversary, the Amy skin from the Idolmaster series, the experimental skin for when the F-2A in real life was still in the early stages of development as a prototype, designated as the X-F-2A, the X standing for experimental, the Nagase skin from the novel Ace Combat Icarus in the Sky, and lastly, the Shogun skin featuring a Cavalier. The F-2A in Ace Combat 7 Skies Unknown is one of the best planes for long-range attacks. Although it can perform close-range attacks with rocket pods as one of the available special weapons on offer, the long-range anti-ship and high-velocity air-to-air missiles are what makes the F-2A shine. The former allows long-range attacks against naval threats, and the latter allows long-range attacks against aerial threats. Especially if parts are equipped to increase aspects like the range and accuracy of these missiles, the Viper Zero can become one of the best long-range attack aircraft in this game. It can handle its own in close-range engagements too thanks to its respectable stats across the board, fulfilling the mid-tier aircraft role very well. There's also an enemy F-2A ace in the game by the call sign of Bogan. Bogan appears in battle for Farbani after the Aegis Ashore is destroyed during the latter half of the first phase, where he'll spawn south of that and attempt to flee. Interestingly, by the power of Belkan witchcraft, Bogan's F-2A possesses stealth capabilities. At long last, we can finally take a look at the F-2A Super Kai. The Super Kai in real life was nothing more than a proposed upgrade to the Viper Zero that never saw the light of day. In Ace Combat though, it fulfills that very objective. Able to take long-range anti-ship missiles, 6 air-to-air missiles, or an integrated electronic warfare system into battle, the Super Kai can fulfill an air-to-ship, air-to-air, or support role in a battle. This makes the Super Kai a very versatile aircraft. Although it does lose the long-range aspect of air-to-air engagements that the F-2A had by having 6 AAMs instead of the HVAAs, the increased versatility this aircraft provides is able to make up for that. The F-2A Viper Zero and Super Kai are both very solid aircraft to take into battle. For the Viper Zero's case, the most success can be found by using it as a long-range attack plane against enemy naval vessels. If any enemy planes get up close and personal, the Viper Zero's respectable air-to-air capabilities can make short work of them. The Super Kai's versatility is very strong, able to continue the long-range anti-ship attacks the Viper Zero is able to do, along with wiping out clusters of aerial threats or messing with them with the 6 AAMs or IEWS. The boost to its stats across the board as well makes the Super Kai's versatility very impressive, achieving the goal of being an upgraded Viper Zero. Thank you all for watching episode 5 of Planes of Ace Combat. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you're looking forward to the next episode where we'll be taking a look at the X-29A, an aircraft that I may or may not have accidentally forgotten about when covering the F-5E and F-20A. See you then, pilots. Take care.